how can you represent people accused of terrible crimes? This person deserves to be heard. Not everybody has the ability to speak on their own behalf.
Lawcracker!
Welcome to Lawcracker, taking complex areas of law and breaking them down just for you. So, today we're going to talk about the question that every lawyer is asked all the time. How can you represent somebody when they're accused of a terrible crime? You know, rape, murder, doing something horrible to kids. How can you, speeding? Maybe that's not so terrible. It can be terrible if something bad happens. But how can you represent people accused of terrible crimes? Well, first of all, we have a justice system that works in the following way. You have the prosecution and the police on one side. Someone makes an accusation, all that mechanism goes into play, all of their massive resources, they bring a case. On the other side, you have the defense in a trial. That means the client, the defendant, and also their lawyer, in some cases me or a barrister or whatever. In the middle, you have the judge, making sure that the trial process is fair. And then, of course, you have the jury, and they're the ones who decide on the facts. 12 normal people, everyday people, who you would hope make a sensible decision, having heard everything in a fair environment, where rules aren't broken, so that the process is as fair and as, gets to the truth as likely as possible. The lawyer provides a mouthpiece for the client in this strange legal context, so that the client's case is put across in court according to the legal rules, and also in a way that will be persuasive, because not everybody has the ability to speak on their own behalf and argue on their own behalf. The prosecution and the police have much experience in dealing with these types of things. The defendant will usually have none, and for that reason, it helps if you look at a lawyer or consider a lawyer almost more like an interpreter in a foreign language, because that's what law is. That's what a legal process is. It's a foreign language, than thinking of them as someone who is somehow helping a guilty person get away with it. Notice in all of that, I didn't say a lawyer makes a decision about whether the client's telling the truth. The lawyer doesn't make a decision about whether what's being said is truthful any more than an interpreter does. If the client is speaking French and the legal proceedings are in English, the interpreter doesn't say, okay, well, I'm not sure that what this is being said in French is true, so I'm not going to translate it into English. A lawyer shouldn't do that any more than an interpreter should. The lawyer puts the case forward in the strongest possible way, legally within the means, not breaking any rules. If the lawyer is told by the client, I did it, but I want you to say that I didn't do it, lawyer can't do that. We don't have the luxury, and we don't have the right to turn around and say, well, I'm uncomfortable with this, because all we are doing is projecting our client's case. Our job in society is to provide fairness to proceedings by making sure that somebody accused is treated as innocent until proven guilty by a process. And that process says they need to have a lawyer who speaks properly on their behalf. It's really important that the decisions made by a jury are as perfect as they can be, because otherwise you have a risk that some people who are innocent went to jail. The law and society takes the view that it is such a terrible thing for a person to go to prison if they didn't do it, that every single effort should be made to make sure that if there is any doubt, if there is any issue with that even if it means that sometimes guilty people go free, that innocent person never risks going to prison. And that means people like me must defend people we don't like. It means that we must defend people that the papers don't like, the media doesn't like, society has already assumed that they're guilty. Because if we're not that one person who will stand up and say, right, this person deserves to be heard, then instead it's trial by media, it's trial by public opinion, it's trial by the mob. And we know that opinions change, and those opinions aren't governed by a proper process. Proper process is courts, a trial. Proper process is the prosecution on one side, the defense on another, the judge in the middle, the jury make a decision. That's how we do things here. I am not just happy or content to defend somebody who may be guilty. I'm proud of it.
Lawcracker. Lawcracker.